UHV activities. So, Didi, Dr. Supraja ji, I just welcome you. Now the session is yours. Thank you, Didi.
Thank you, Jyoti, from that warm welcome. So let me share the screen from my end. I hope the screen is visible to all.
Yeah, Didi, yes.
So very good morning. I welcome you all for our panel discussion, addressing SDGs from the root. So in our previous discussion, we have focused on the need and the vision and addressing SDG from the root for the fulfillment of SDG goals. So today we can carry forward our discussion in the direction of implementation for fulfillment of SDG goal. Let me give you the agenda for the day. So we will be having introduction, welcome and introduction of the moderators. Just now Jyotiji has done. And followed by introduction of panelist by moderator, followed by UHV point of view on SDGs implementation and panel discussion with the panelist, and followed by questions from the delegate and concluding remark. So with this, now I will introduce our esteemed panelist. We have our esteemed panel with us today, consists of experts from various fields who will share their insight on current approach for the implementation of SDG and the potential benefits for more holistic approach. So now I would like to introduce one of our esteemed panelists, Dr. Ishrat Mehra Mizana ji. She's a professor from mechanical engineering, and she's also director RDC from MJCET. And she's a regional coordinator for South Central region and directors in the Engineers Without Borders India. And also she was a secretary at IET Hyderabad local chapter and the project head. Welcome, Ishraji. And we have a renowned expert in the sustainable development, one of our panelists, Dr. Gopal Babu, with over 18 years of experience and specialized in holistic development and value-based education and sustainable technology. He's currently working as a professor and also coordinator for value education cell at Ajay Kumar Gar Engineering College, Ghaziabad. He has completed his PhD from IIT Delhi, and he is an expert in AICT in Universal Human Value Committee, and he has conducted a lot of UHV programs as a resource person. Namaste, Bhaiya. Next, we have our Dr. Vanchana Singh with us today. She is a member from NCC UHV, AICT, and currently involved in UHV activities nationwide. She has obtained her PhD degree from IIT Delhi, and she has published several research papers in high impact journal. She has over 18 years of teaching and learning experience, and she worked earlier in the Indraprasad Engineering College, Ghaziabad, and involved in this UHV activities for last years. Come, Vanchana Singh. And now next we have Dr. Tara Prasanna ji, who has extensive experience in the several impactful projects. He is currently working as an associate professor at the Department of ECE at Shikshanan Sansthan, Odisha, India. And he has previously completed his BTech in ECE from BTUT, Odisha, and MTech from IIT Karaku, and PhD from Shiksho Anusanand, Odisha. He has more than 14 years of teaching experience, and also he has associated with this UHV related activities since 2020. Another esteemed panelist today, we have Deepaji Nair with us. She is a professor in civil engineering from Cochin University of Science and Technology. She's a university coordinator there, and also she served as a Dean of Engineering and Technology from MG University, Kerala. She has more than 24 years of teaching experience and 3 years of industry experience. She has done a PhD in sustainable housing, and she associated with this UHV since 2018. Namaste, Deepaji. And taking a pride to introduce another panelist, Dr. Jyoti ji. She's an assistant professor in sociology and universal human values, currently working as a Sharda School of Business Studies, Sharda University, Agra. She is an educator over 23 years of experience and committed to promoting this universal human values since 2015. She is actively participating. and she's a UHV cell coordinator at our university. Namaste, Jyotiji. And another esteemed panelist we have is Archana Mirashi ji. She's working as an assistant professor in physics in PVG College of Engineering and Technology. She's highly passionate towards an environmental concern, and she's associated with various NGO, and she's instrumental in inculcating green values among the students in our institution, and she's a coordinator of Eco Club in our institute. She is recently playing an important role while adding the value-added courses in sustainable development in a curriculum. And also she got to introduce to universal human values since 2022 and involved being a continuous volunteer for various UHV related activity. Namaste, Archana Mishra ji. And another esteemed panelist we have today is Geeta Pothraju ji. She holds PhD in the management from the Department of Business Management, Osmania University, Hyderabad. She is currently heading the Center of Governance and Public Policy at Institute of Public Enterprise. She got over 20 years of experience in development consulting, and our specialization is governance and public policy. And she has worked in the various assignments like with the Government of India, State India, DFID, UNDP. And she has worked with the government of South Asia that includes different countries. She has a lot of publication in our records. Namaste, Geeta Pothraju ji. So thank you all for joining with us today. I'm awaiting to hear your insights and perspective on this important discussion. So to start, I would like to set the stage by briefing the outline of implementation for the holistic approach when it comes to the SDG. So a holistic approach emphasizes the importance of understanding these goals, not in an isolation, but as a part of a layer system. The addressing SDG at the root has a lot of challenges, and we have to work on, rather we just working on the symptoms. So with this, we proceed to listen from our one of the panelists, Dr. Gopal, to give a UHV point of view for SDG. Dr. Gopal, over to you. Would you like to share the PPT from your end, sir?
Thank you, Supraja ji. So I am sharing my screen, Didi. Is it visible to all?
Yes, Bhaiya, it's visible.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Supraja, giving me an opportunity to put UHV perspective on implementing SDGs at the root. So just revising the last panel discussions, UHV perspective. So in first session, we discussed the need for holistic perspective. So holistic perspective means having clarity of harmony at the level of human being, family, society, nature, and existence. So with this, I am able to ensure justice in relationship from family to world family, and I can ensure my participation in larger order with nature, starting from family order to world family order. So this is what we discussed in panel 1, need for the holistic perspective. Then in next session, we discussed vision for addressing SDGs at the root. And I proposed vision for humane society. So we discussed these goals to ensure humane society. So first is right understanding, right feeling in every individual, health in every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness in society, and mutual enrichment with natural environment, with nature. So if we move towards this humane society, then all the SDGs goals are naturally followed. So keeping these things in background, now I am putting UHV perspective on implementation of SDGs at the root. So as we discussed that ultimately we are aspiring to reach a humane society. So all of us naturally desire to have a humane society. Humane society is a society where everyone can live a fulfilling life, where everyone can get an opportunity to live a fulfilling life with healthy body, with feeling of justice, with natural protection systems, etc. And to visualize that society, we defined few goals: right understanding in every individual, health of every individual, prosperity in every family, fearlessness in society, and mutual enrichment with nature. Now, because we are discussing implementation part, so it becomes important to know the dimensions on which we need to work together. So what dimensions will be useful? What dimensions are important to reach these goals of humane society? So from UHV perspective, we have proposed these 8 dimensions of human order. So if we work on these 8 dimensions, we can reach humane goals, goal of humane society. So dimension of education, health, justice, production service, exchange distribution, right utilization, dimension of preservation, and dimensions of services, administrative service and social service. So if we all work together on these dimensions, then the goals can be realized and those goals can be achieved. And through these goals, we can have a humane society where each one of us can get an opportunity to live a fulfilling life. So if you see this 8-dimension system, the dimension of education is very important because this education system ensure a perspective. So this perspective can be ensured through education system. And to reach humane society, we need a holistic perspective. And this holistic perspective can be ensured through dimension of education. And whatever perspective we make in students through this dimension, it impacts all other dimensions. So my personal perspective impact dimension of health, dimension of justice, dimension of production, right utilization, and so on. So if I have a holistic perspective, then I can see my health in a holistic manner. Holistic manner means I can ensure my health while mutually enriching the rest of environment. So if I have a holistic perspective through dimension of education, then I can live in relationship in a mutually fulfilling manner, that is justice. I can ensure recyclic production process. I can ensure distribution with the feeling of relationship. And importantly is dimension of right utilization. So if you see this in this modern system, we are very less focused on the right utilization of resources. We are much focused on accumulation of resources. So with holistic perspective, I will be living with rest of nature while ensuring right utilization of natural resources. So dimension of education impacts other dimensions. So this dimension becomes very important for each one of us. So with this 8-dimension education system, giving importance to education system, we can have these goals and that can lead us to a humane society. With this, we can see, as I discussed just now, the primary step to move towards the holistic way of life is to develop a holistic worldview, is to develop the right understanding among the human beings. With this, we can have commitment to live accordingly and then to develop the requisite skills and knowledge systems to implement the right understanding in real life. So it becomes important to work on education systems that can help us to ensure a humanistic education, the right understanding. And this humanistic education can be visualized in terms of the following 4 aspects: humanistic education, human conduct, human constitution, and universal human order. So this is what I have presented here in the form of diagram. So if we have human education, education with a holistic perspective, this education ensures the development of the competence to live with definite human conduct. If you see the whole existence, rest of things are already in definite order. Human has to be definite. And this definiteness can be ensured through dimension of education system, through human education. So once this definiteness is ensured in each one of us, it will help us to conduct that ensures continuity of mutual happiness and prosperity. That is human conduct. With this human conduct in everyone, we can ensure a human constitution. So a constitution that will help us to live in a mutually fulfilling manner. And in turn, it will ensure human order. And rest orders are already in a definite manner. So with this human education through human conduct, then human constitution lead to human order. And human order again will lead to human education for next generation. And this is how generation by generation we can ensure holistic perspective, holistic living in each one of us. With this, we can have this decentralized social structure in a humane society, because we are talking about the holistic perspective. We are talking about the education system. So what kind of social structure would facilitate this humane society? That need to be discussed. So from UHP perspective, we are proposing here decentralized relationship-based economic system. So in this system, people will be living in a decentralized manner. They will be using their local resources, and they will be helping the next cluster to move in the direction. So in this manner, from bottom to up, each one will be coordinating with others. So small cluster will be coordinating with larger cluster will be helping or enriching the lower cluster. In this manner, this decentralized structure can help us to achieve a humane society. So that's all from my side. Thank you, Suprajaji, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gopalji, for sharing the elaborate view that entitles the implementation of SDG and its integration and relationship towards the desirable human society aligned with SDG. In your discussion, you have mentioned how human goal can be achieved through these 8 dimensions of human order, and has elaborated how education system impacts how human order can be realized through that. Thank you, Gopal Babu, for your UHV viewpoint. Let me share the screen from my end. Gopalji, you can stop sharing. So with this all discussion, now let's open up the forum for the panel discussion. Let us get the elaborate viewpoint from each of our esteemed panelists, one after the other. I would like to begin with our panelist, Dr. Vanchana Singh. Vanchana ji, what do you think? What kind of community structure would be helpful to ensure the sustainable communities and sustainable consumption with reference to SDG 11 and 12? What is your viewpoint?
Thank you, Suprajaji, for this question. I hope I'm clearly audible.
Yes, Vanchana ji, you're audible.
Ji. So when we look at the SDG 11 and 12, what we see is that without working for comprehensive human goals, we cannot really attain SDG 11 and 12, where we talk of sustainable cities, where we talk of sustainable resource utilization, consumption, and all that. So, what we realize is that these human goals are deeply integrated unless we work for the right kind of education system. So, at the level of implementation, it needs to be included from the very basic education system, and everyone should have the clarity of the human goals. With that, working for those 8 dimensions which were just mentioned by Dr. Gopal Babuji, starting from the education sanskar to health to production system and so on, where everyone contributes towards all the 5 comprehensive goals, can only ensure that each and every SDG is addressed in an interconnected manner. So we don't need to work separately for every SDG. In fact, a collective approach is looking forward to this vision for humane society and working coherently towards it for the fulfillment of comprehensive goals. So instead of just working for uh, global kind of things, integrating the local effects, integrating the local considerations will contribute for that. This is what I would like to put from my end.
Thank you, Anjana ji. You are mentioning unless we don't have a clarity on human education, these goals is gonna be disintegrated. So collectively, uh, we have to see the interconnectedness and which can be achieved through this human education. Nicely, you have put forward your point of view. Now let's hear from another panelist, Dr. Geeta Potturaju ji. Can you elaborate your viewpoint in this discussion? What do you think? What kind of community structure would help to ensure the sustainable communities and sustainable consumption?
So, Supraja ji, especially here when we are talking in the context of SDG 11 and 12, so I was just thinking that especially when it comes to our own national scenario, there are very clear patterns set about, for instance, every state knows how many acres of land they have. Every district knows what is the expanse of land, what kind of grains are produced. So there is broadly some kind of an information about, the kind of produce that's going to come, because the public distribution system requires this kind of an information and this kind of a planning. We have so many things on ground. But then I think we have also, because it's coming from bottom up, what they have done is each district has very good information about the farmers owning the lands, big, small farmers, and the kind of grains they're growing, what is the annual produce. And so that kind of a data is there. So I think there's some very good solid work that's done based on which it can be built. The structure at the bottom in most of the states, I think, is in place. The only thing is we need to, I think, the policy makers and the people who are at very important positions need to maybe create all these things which Gopal sir just now said. There are so many other things that need to be first put in place, the right understanding in every individual. So if these individuals who are sitting in these policy positions can very fairly look at the distribution, because one of the 8 goals is also preservation, exchange, distribution. This is all regarding to and when it comes to sustainable cities, I think there is, you really need to disrupt the whole thing, because the rural community is all coming towards the urban cities and everything is failing. So I think we need to develop some very good, not just infrastructure, but also opportunities for people to remain where they are in their own communities and be more profitable. I think a lot of experiments are already happening. It's not that nothing is being done. I think a lot of work is being done, but that it shouldn't be just a pilot project. I think it needs to be scaled up and across the board. So that's what I feel.
Thank you, Geeta Paturajuji. You have nicely put forward your point of view. Like the local community should have to have a provision to get everything in their own community rather than they're trying to moving on to the urban area. So that point is well taken. So in continuation, I invite Dr. Gopalji. What is your perspective? What do you think? What kind of community structure would be helpful, Gopalji?
Yes, Suprajaji. So to achieve this sustainable communities and sustainable consumption, my point of view is first we should think over it why we are leading unsustainable communities. So few regions I explained earlier. So one is centralized community structure. So if you see the structure of cities, mega cities, they have centralized structures. So one side, people are migrating from rural areas to these mega cities. Another side, we can see that these mega cities are heavily based on non-renewable resources that are limited on this earth. So one side, we are in fear of getting finished these resources. Second side, people are migrating heavily from one place to another place. So these are few reasons that are making our community structures unsustainable. So to achieve sustainable community structures, we should promote decentralized social structures. We promote mutually fulfilling occupations. So I studied one case study, Jajmani system. Thousands years of back, it was present in our India. So if you see that system consists of mutually fulfilling occupation. It means output of one occupation becomes input of another occupation. If in contrast, if you see today's occupation system, most of the occupation system are based on the exploitation of other occupations. So we need to have mutually fulfilling occupations in community structures. Then third point is relationship-based economy. Somehow our modern social structures have become only economic centric. Relationship is uh, vanished from this economic system. And another side, we are talking about justice, peace. But if you see dark side of this coin, in dark side, we are talking only about economic growth. So relationship-based economic system has to be introduced to reach sustainable community structure. Then our community structure should be based on renewable resources. So rural areas, villages, cities, they need to promote maximum use of their renewable resources in a cyclic manner. With this, we can promote self-sufficiency through local natural resources. Right utilization of local resources needs to be promoted. So if we work on these issues, then we can achieve these sustainable community structures with sustainable consumption also. Thank you, Suprajaji. That's all from my
Thank
side.
you. Thank you, Gopalji. You have nicely put forward how the centralized system are taking up more resources and which is more limited, and how this decentralized structure will help in the mutual fulfilling occupation, and how we can work on the self-sufficient with the help of the natural resources available to us. The points are well taken, Gopalji. With continuation of this, let me ask Tara Prasnaji, what key action should be prioritized to ensure the effective implementation of SDG at the root level in communities? What do you think, Tara Prasnaji? Tara Prasnaji?
You are muted, Tara Prasanna ji. You are muted.
Sorry, yes.
Maybe.
Now, yeah. So thank you, Supriya ji, for giving me this opportunity to put my views on this particular question, that how can we prioritize the implementation of SDG at the root level in community. So if we look at, there are two approaches can be possible. One is top down and another is bottom up. So when you talk of top down, that means we need to somewhere see the effective implementation of the policies made at the government level or policy maker level. So strengthening policy, then take these policies to the ground level, to the community level, to the individual level. That can be one approach. Then another approach can be bottom up approach, that where every individual can be educated towards the this SDG issues and towards the holistic vision, as well as education towards this SDGs. And with that, it can be formed, go to a community, and with that community, it can go to the higher level. So if we can put up this implementation from bottom up as well as a top down point of view, then it can be addressed. And of course, in a community or in a society, the awareness and promotion is very important. So if like many other things are promoted in nowadays very explicitly, like this materialistic things, or the products, whatever is coming, like great promotion. So if the promotion system or this advertising things can be taken in the right direction to advertise the education, holistic education, it can address it can address SDGs issues to a great level, what I believe. So thank you.
Thank you, Taraji. Thank you so much. You have nicely put forward the how bottom-up approach is so important, and how the education, right education can reach to the people rather than more focus is now presently on this materialistic viewpoint. Thank you, Kataraji, for putting forward that your perspective. And let us hear from on the panelist, Jyotiji. What do you think? What do you think on this discussion? What key action should be prioritized to ensure the effective implementation?
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste.
What I feel, the totally getting agreed with our co-panelist that there should be a decentralized approach. But what I feel ki there is no need to for so many number of SDGs. I think if we work on the SDG 2, that is the zero hunger, and 3, the well-being, and the 4 is the quality education, gender equality, and the climate action. I think these are the core issues we should address. And if we will be able to address these issues, definitely we will be like in the zero hunger, we should ensure the decent work, decent life for each and every persons. And these actions should be taken from the top level, what we call the management or the policy makers. And when we are talking about the good health or the quality education, so we are right now we were discussing about 11 and 12, what is the sustainability of the cities. So most of the time we are talking about the infrastructure of the cities. Most of the time we are talking about the materialism. Most of the time we are talking about in health, the technology we are using to test the various types of tests. So these things are should be rightly addressed with the help of this idea of the self and body. And when we talk about the gender equality and the that climate action, so if we will be clear about these issues, what is the gender of the self or gender of the body, so these should be very clear. So what I feel that the key actions should be taken on the basis of this right understanding, what our co-panelist Dr. Gopalji mentioned in the UHV perspective, that should be prioritized. And if we work on the basically on the health and the education and the type of gender system we are having in the present society, then definitely we will be able to overcome all these problems related to climate and the sustainability of the cities and the international relations, partnerships. Although efforts are made, doing, as our one co-panelist said, Dr. Geeta, कि efforts are doing, ऐसा नहीं है कि nothing is going on. So in our countries, Niti Aayog is working for that to make the policies. They are taking key actions for that. All the countries are doing the key actions to prioritize the implementation of the SDGs. But what I feel, direction is not the right. So we should work in the right direction, and we should work on the solution centric approach. We are working on the problem centric approach. We are searching water in the sea. We are trying to manipulate the water of the sea as the drinking water, or we are searching water on the Mars. So these are the our efforts going on to find out the solutions of our problem. But these are not the solutions. And one day that water will also diminish. One day everyone cannot be able to move on the Mars. And also these are the some hypothetical solutions I think we are working on. So we should basically work on the grassroots level, and policymakers should take action on that, should take attention on that, I think.
Thank you, Jyoti ji, for putting forward your viewpoint. You have mentioned that interconnectionness has not seen, and the direction is the efforts are there for all to for all these SDGs to achieve all these SDGs. The efforts are there, but the direction is not clear, is what the point you have put forward. So I'll take forward this discussion with Dr. Vanchana Singh. Anjanadi, what do you think? How can we identify and address the root cause of the issues like poverty, inequality, and climatic change when implementing SDG strategies? Can you elaborate your viewpoint in this discussion, Dr. Vanchana Singh?
Sure. So what I see over here is that when we try to address these SDGs, be it poverty, zero hunger, inequality, that is gender inequality, or climate change issues, at the level of implementation, if the root cause, which is lack of right understanding, is not taken into account, whatever is done is very much topical. With that topical kind of an approach, or the piecemeal kind of an approach, actually addressing these SDGs is falling short.
Dr. Vanchana ji, sorry for the interruption, but your voice is not audible for me.
Okay, is it better?
It is very feeble, Vanchana ji.
Okay, just one second. Is it better now?
Yes, Vanchana ji, please go ahead.
Ji. So what I was trying to put was that these, at the level of implementation, without addressing the root cause, which is lack of right understanding at the level of individual, we cannot address these SDGs with a holistic approach. What we require is clarity at the level of living. When I understand my role, my responsibility, then only I'm able to live by it. So the implementation requires to address at the level of root by incorporating humane education to begin with, and making people more and more socially responsible. So what we feel is that a piecemeal approach where each SDG is dealt separately cannot really work, and the interconnectedness of these SDGs needs to be understood, and at the level of implementation, all policies, all the kind of efforts that are taken should be with that clarity. So ultimately we land up to human beings living with human consciousness, and that's how we will be able to actually carry forward the implementation and would be able to see the impact in time to come. Ji.
This is from my side.
Thank you, Anshana ji. You have mentioned like how much effort we put forward until we work on this piecemeal approach. It's going to be difficult until we are not able to see the interconnection between all these SDGs and come up with the clarity of right understanding is required in the every individual will able to see this SDG can be realized. You have nicely put forward your viewpoint. So now let us hear from other panelists, Dr. Gopal Babu. What do you think in this discussion, how we can identify and address the root cause of the issues like poverty, inequality, and climatic change?
Yes, Supracha ji. So if you see the root cause of these issues, so it is very interesting to know the root causes of these issues like poverty. So if you see the data available on the net, so poverty is not because of there is a lack of resources. Poverty is because of we are consuming resources indiscriminately. Right? So if you see the countries that are affluent, so-called developed countries, their consumption rate is much, much higher than those countries which are labeled as developing countries. So poverty exists because of we are not ensuring sustainable consumption. And this sustainable consumption, again, an issue of the understanding of need. So we are not clear about need. So if you see the Brundtland Commission report, there is a very most accepted definition is fulfilling the need of future generation without compromising the need of present generation. And we are not clear about the need. So how we can visualize the link of need of future generation? How can we visualize the need of present generation? So this need is still not clear. So if it need is not clear, then how can one become rich irrespective of resources? How can one can have a feeling of prosperity if he is not clear about the need? So if you see the root cause of this issue, the issue of poverty, the issue is unclarity of need. So there are many examples in society. If you try to fulfill or you try to remove this poverty through only economic growth, then people still do not satisfied with the resources they have. They need more and more, right? So if this tendency to consume more and more exists, then how can one feel a prosperous life? So if you see both sides are in crisis. If you see the affluent countries, they are not clear about their need. They still want more and more. If you see the poor people, so-called poor people, if you provide them enough money, enough resources, and they are not clear about their need, they will still feel deprived. So deprivation is both sides. It is not only with poor people. And this deprivation, feeling of deprivation, is the lack of clarity of our need. And this lack of clarity of need is because of lack of clarity of understanding of human being, as we discussed in earlier panels. So if you see the root cause goes to the lack of clarity, lack of understanding. Similarly, this inequality. So if we are trying to ensure equality with equal distribution, with giving enough money, will it ensure equality in society? No. Because there are many developed countries. Are they think they are equal to other countries? They are fighting with each other. In spite of having a lot of money, in spite of having a lot of resources. So equality cannot be ensured. So the economic approach. Similarly, climate changes. We are not able to identify our need we are not having feeling of prosperity. So we are exploiting nature. So if you see the data available on the net, a large portion of the economy is being invested on preparing the war, instruments of war, nuclear weapon, this kind of things. And the money we are investing on these things can be given to all countries, and this poverty can be removed in terms of economic growth. So these types of things we are not observing at root level. So we cannot talk about poverty, inequality, climate change until and unless we are clear about our need, prosperity, clarity of human being. So that we need to work. Then that will help to achieve these SDG goals. So that is from my side, Suprajadi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gopalji. Very nicely you have put forward. There is no clarity of how much is the need. There is no understanding of need and how one can feel prosperous. That clarity itself lacking. And the poverty we are trying to compensate only with the economical growth, but not understanding how much is the required. So very nicely you have put forward these points. I hope this discussion is getting more meaningful. So now, checking to this time, it's a time to launch a poll. We have poll based on the discussions. There is 2 minutes time for all of you to respond to this poll. Can you able to see the poll screen? Can you all able to see the poll screen? You have
can
a
see it.
question.
We can
Yeah.
see it, but
So,
we don't have choice.
Ranjita Didi, you need to remove some post because post cannot submit the poll. And I think only Himanshu Bhaiya can respond to the poll. Rest all are polls. Anyway, it is responded.
Okay.
It must be for audience mostly. So
Okay.
Announcing that.
Okay.
Panelists can't vote, na bhaiya?
Panelist can also vote, but
Host and co-host.
Co-host actually we have.
Host and co-host. That is an option. Whether we want to give panelist option or not, that is there in the poll itself. Yeah, so we can continue the discussion. The nice discussion is going.
yeah, both the poll we gonna launch or only one?
No. That means for real sale we have kept one, and Vanchana just now set up it. So
Okay.
We just tried. This was just hit
Yeah.
and trial. We were just seeing whether it is working or not.
Yes.
Ji Didi, ji.
We can just stop now, bhaiya.
Yes. Yeah, only one person need to stop it. It's done. So let's go ahead.
It's done. So thank you all for responding to the poll. So with all these, as we approach towards the end of the discussion today, with all your inputs, we have gathered a very meaningful points from the discussion, a different viewpoint, insights, and different opinions towards implementation of this SDGs. So I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to our panelists for your valuable contribution and all of you for your meaningful engagement today. So I appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you. Jyoti ji, over to you.
Thank you, Didi. Thanks to all for this wonderful discussion. I think this conference would be very beneficial for the society as well as policymakers. Definitely, we are going to some basic insight for the society policymakers also. So now we all are requested to join the main plenary session which is going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vanchana ji, I have one doubt here. Do we gonna have the concluding remarks for today's session in the today discussion itself, or how
Ji.
it's gonna?
Ji, Didi, some concluding remarks from your end should be there at the end of the, and then the final one will be a report which will be read by Gopal Bhaiya in the last session.
That is in the closing remarks, not Didi.
Closing remarks, yeah. But the For this session, we require concluding remarks.
Okay. But this is not the concluding remarks which Geeta ji usually does. So only the moderator have to do and complete. Am I right?
Let's see, Bhaiya, shall we ask Geeta Didi to read in the end session? What do you suggest?
I think moderator can do this in this session, Didi.
Ji bhai.
Maybe Geeta Didi can just quickly send that write-up in between, and because at that time there will be other panelists who will be discussing and we'll be not there directly in discussion, na? In the real sense.
Ji Didi. Got it. Because for the previous days, we used to have a concluding remarks for the next day. So for this final day, how are we going to finish one of the questions?
Yeah, we can discuss in details. It's on, it's live and online.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for all of you for joining today.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Namaste to all.
Namaste to all.
Ranjita, ready to close.
Namaste.